Okay guys, so here we have our ingredients for our chapati. We have some sugar, brown sugar over there. We have some all-purpose flour. We have some cinnamon there in the spoon. We have some lemon rind, which is grated. Some lemon zest if you like. And we also have some salt. So what is not here is the water that I'll use, and I'm just waiting for it to be ready. It's just heating up. So those are our ingredients, and I'll show you shortly how we mix them up. Okay guys, so we'll be mixing everything into this bowl. So for this chapatis, we begin with the all-purpose flour. These are 3 cups. Each I use the 500 ml cup to measure. So here it is. Those are 3 cups. Here is the sugar that I had measured. This should be for every 500 ml cup of unga. I have 1.5 tablespoons of sugar. Okay. Then after the sugar, I'll do a pinch some salt. Let's say this is less than a tablespoon, so it's like half of a tablespoon, but it also depends on how salty you like your chapatis. Then I'm doing some cinnamon today, so this is cinnamon. Hope it's well visible. Yes, you can do as much as you like, but cinnamon is a little goes a long way, so about 1/4 of a teaspoon would work well. This is lemon zest, and I'll show you also how you can get this lemon zest. So about a tablespoon is okay. That you can get from 1 big lemon, or if you have small lemons you can use 2 of them. So I'll mix up everything just using my spoon. I choose to use you can use a mwiko, or you can use even this kind of spoon. This one is a bit hard, that's why I like it. It's not easily bendable. After all is mixed up so well inside there, this is some oil which I hadn't shown before. This is about how many? Just a half of this 250 ml cup or 300 ml cup. Actually, a bit, almost like a third of it. Yeah. So you'll mix it up. I'll attach a recipe as well, so do not be worried about the measurements. Then once it's mixed up like that, I'll create a small hole inside here. So next I'll use boiling water. This is water that has just come from boiling, and this is the very important part, as we should have really hot water that will help sort of cook the dough, and it helps to make it softer. So I had measured it up for every 2 cups of unga, 2 full cups, you do 1 full cup of water. So the ratio is just simply 1 to 2, 1 part water, 2 parts of unga. And that should work for any kind of measurements you want. You either multiply or divide it to get the right amount. So I mix it up until most of the liquid is absorbed, and I use a spoon for most of the first part of mixing because it's hot, until it mixes up vizuri or very well. Then when it's mixed up really well and it's not too hot again, that's when I'll knead it. So I'll also have some oil on the side for the finishing part. So today I have a friend with me. There he is, helping me in the kitchen. Are you helping me? Okay. So once I've mixed it all up nicely like that, I expect that it's not too hot, and I'll also show you how I mix so that I don't touch the really hot parts. So this is how I mix it up. You see, I'm folding it like that. I don't want to knead it too much, because too much kneading again affects the softness of the dough. So all I want is for all the flour that is not yet mixed up to be mixed up. And then we'll let it rest. Yes, Jamie. Sorry? You love eating the dough. This one is not yet ready. It's not yet ready for eating, okay? I love eating like that. Okay, this one is almost ready. Just a little bit more. You see how I'm doing it? All I want for it is to mix up well. You see, if you get the measurements right, you won't get a sticky dough. You'll find that it's okay. It's not sticking to my fingers. But if in case maybe you go wrong somewhere and you put a little bit more water than you should have, or a little bit less unga than you should have, you can always add a little bit of unga, a little bit of flour, just a little at a time, until it's not too sticky. But we don't want to add too much unga yet, so that it doesn't become hard again. So for now, I just want to do some oil, just a little bit on the top, just to keep it nice and moist, because it's already ready. So all I want for it is to be nice and moist, and to rest for about 20 minutes and then we'll start the cooking process. Okay, so once it's done like that, I'll just cover it up nicely with a plate. So today I'll use this plate. You could also use cling film to cover it up. So as long as it's covered, or a kitchen towel on top here. So this is how we'll have it for 20 minutes and then we'll go on. Okay guys, so we've given the dough about 20 minutes. Here it is, just as we left it. So I'll show you how to prepare this dough in two ways. If you want the kind of chapatis that are layered, this is the process to go through, okay? As you can see, I've put some oil on my knife just to avoid the dough sticking too much to my knife. So I'll divide it into two parts so that I can show you the two different methods that you can use, okay? So the first method, basically, I'll stretch out the dough. So before you stretch out the dough, you need to put some flour on it just to avoid it sticking. And then you can stretch it out. You see, like that? So after you stretch it out on one side, stretch it out on the other side. So this step is not compulsory, you can skip it. But if you want the layered chapatis, this is the way to go. So I've stretched it just a little bit. And then I spread some oil on it, about 2 tablespoons. Just like this. So this is the dough. This is the part where now I divide it into the portions which I'll cook. Okay. So once I've done that to it, sorry again. So I'll cut it this way into parts, and then I'll roll them out. I'll roll them up actually. So how I'll roll them up determines the size of chapati that I'll make. If I want a big chapati, I'll roll up a big part. Like this one is quite small, so I'll add to this. Okay, so as you roll it up, just ensure that it's tight. You see how I'm doing it? It's a bit airtight so that it won't split up, or as you cook it on the pan, we want it tight like this so that it won't get cut as you cook it on the pan, okay? So make sure it's airtight. Then you do this for each one of the rolls. Quite easy, okay? So this is the first method. And something I forgot to mention before, in these chapatis, I decided to use cinnamon, which is something I often use in my pastries, but it's not compulsory. If you don't like cinnamon, you could always skip it. You could also use maybe a little bit of cinnamon and a little bit of cardamom, or you could skip all of them. Same case to the lemon zest. Though each one of these things adds a nice flavor to it, to the chapatis, though it's quite up to you. Okay, yeah, so lemon actually also acts as a preservative to pastries, whether it's mandazi or chapati. So uh, it's something to consider, as well as giving it a very, very nice flavor. Okay, so this is still the first method. I'm trying to show you how it goes. It's quite easy. And if you feel like one is too bigger than the others, you can always pinch out a bit. See, like that. Just pinch it out and return the circular size, the circular shape. This one was too big, so I'll take it out. There we go. Okay, so I'll put this aside and show you the second method, which is quite easy. And if you have, I know Christmas is coming up soon, and some of us will be cooking quite a lot of chapos for family, for big families. So this second method that I'll show you is quite a good method to take you very fast with your chapatis. So if you have, maybe you're cooking a whole bale, a whole bale of flour, or even 2 packets, but you don't want to take too much time, and yet you still want your layered chapatis, this is the method to go for. So you just roll it out like this, just as I had rolled out the other one. Okay. Then after you've rolled it out, you spread the oil just like this. Okay. Of course, you don't need to use too much oil, just a little bit. 2 tablespoons are normally enough, or just as much as can spread all over the dough without making such a thick layer. Okay, so after that, I'll roll the dough just like this. Hope you can see it clearly. And as I roll it this way, I try my best not to have air trapped there inside, in between the dough. I try to make it as airtight as possible. That way. Until the end. So this method is quite easy actually. So what I'll do, I'll just cut out the size I want, the size of chapatis that I want. And for the recipe I had, I'm using today for the measurements, it should give about 15 big chapatis. But if you're the type that likes small ones, it could give up to between 18 to 20. So it depends on the size that you like. So once it's like that, what I do is I take it round like this. I'm using my fingers just to take it round like this. Okay. I'm trying to make it nice and airtight. I think this one was ready. So I'll do that to each of the chapatis. As you can note, or maybe you've not noted, but these ones are a bit smaller than the ones I had made before, which is okay since it's just for my family. Though if it's for business, of course, you need to make it consistent. So after this, all that is remaining is to roll out the chapatis and then cook them on the pan, and then we'll be done and eat our yummy, soft, layered chapatis. So it's a good thing also to keep these chapatis covered, just so that they don't make a crust on the surface and so that they don't dry up. So it's a good thing to do. Okay, since this one is too small, I'll pinch out a bit from these others, just a little bit. Just to make it slightly bigger. Okay, so don't be worried if you don't make the right size the first time. You can always correct it. So there goes. I'll arrange them into my bowl, my mixing bowl over here. Just the same one that I had used to mix the ingredients. So I'll leave out about, so I'll cover this with a kitchen towel, or actually can use even my plate, and just cover them lightly. And then I'll start with these ones, okay? So as I do this, I'll also put my pan. This is the pan that I use. It's quite a thick one, and this is best to help you control the heat, okay? But use what you have as long as you're able to control your heat well. So I'll put it on the fire. So as the pan or the skillet, whatever you choose to call it, is warming up, is heating up, I'll roll out about 3 of my chapati balls. So one really good way of putting some unga on the balls so that you don't put too much of it is actually putting the unga, just as you have seen, this way. And putting some unga in a bowl also really helps to make work easier. So you roll it out. If you want it to be round, you roll it in circular motion. I'll add a little bit of unga. We don't want it to have too much unga. I like my chapatis not very thick, a bit thin, yet not too thin. So don't worry, this one did not turn out round, but no worries about that. See, that one is ready to go to the fire. If you're not an expert at this making round shape, don't worry too much. I think the taste matters more than the shape, right? Unapenda? Okay. So my son is excited about the chapati. So I want to roll out about 5 balls, to roll out 5 chapatis. Okay. For one of the methods, I'll show you how you can cook your chapatis to keep them soft. These ones were quite small, and it's okay, especially if you have children. They can eat one whole small chapati instead of cutting a big piece. Okay. So that way. The other way is just to spread out the unga like this. But this one helps to concentrate the unga so that it doesn't go too far. So rolling out the chapatis like this, about 4 or 5 of them will also help us to keep up with the heat. Okay, so you won't have to keep switching off the fire, the heat, to roll out others. We'll just, as the others cook, we roll out one by one. Okay. Yes, Jenny? But you can't eat this. So I think our pan is already hot, so let's go to the cooking. It's always important to prepare where you'll put your chapatis. You can use kitchen towels, paper towels. You can use serviettes. Today my serviettes had run out, so you can also improvise and use this kind of paper that holds unga. So once your unga is done, you can actually use this paper just to absorb the excess water that will come out of the chapati, the vapor, okay? So my cooking is starting now. So your pan should be hot. And I'll wait for my chapati to start turning translucent. You see now it's still white, but it's starting to turn translucent. So I'll wait for that to happen before I can put some oil at the bottom. So you can either cook your chapati one by one, or you can do layers on layers. So it depends on what is best for you. But there are advantages to each of the methods. As you can see, it is now translucent. So let's see how it looks at the bottom. You see, it's a good time to put some oil. Simply that way. And since at the bottom it won't be that long, so I'll just put some oil and turn it around too. Okay. So this is one by one. So once the bottom is ready, I'll take the chapati out of the pan. Then I'll show you how you can cook maybe 2 or 3, 4, even 5. But for today, we'll do 3 at a go. Okay. So you see, it's ready. So you can use, of course, a spatula to take it out, or you can use that simple method that I've used there. Okay. Let me put this here so that you can see part of that, of how I'm doing it. So this is the second piece. I wait for it to be translucent. As I roll up another chapati. So you can keep checking. It's not yet ready. So I had reduced the heat quite a bit. So I'll just heat up just a little bit to increase our. So usually I push the chapati back a little bit, put some oil, and then lift it. So you see, I lift it with this back part, because if you lift it to this side, it gets poked. And if you want to turn it, you also turn it using this side. So you need a heavy spoon for that work, okay? Or you can simply use a spatula. So once this side is ready, I put in another chapati on top, a raw chapati. It makes even the turning of the chapati easier, like that. So you can notice I'm using very little oil. This is for the back of the chapati, and for the front a little bit more, about 1 teaspoon, just so that our chapatis don't get so oily. You see, don't worry about that. I flipped it a bit too soon, so you should let it get a little bit more brown. So I'll let the bottom cook so that I'll turn it back.
I want chapati.
Wait for them to be ready.
This one here.
Just wait a bit, Jackie. Okay, so it's easy to forget this one that is on the pan, but you must try hard not to forget it, otherwise it will get burned. That one has a good color, so we turn it. then you remember we had put this one, so we'll just turn it so that the side that is not cooked comes on top. Okay, that way. So this method helps the chapati come out really soft, because as they cook on top of one another, they get softer and softer. But when you cook one by one, it's still soft inside and crunchy on the outside. So it depends on what you really want. If you want it to be a bit crunchy on the outside and soft on the inside, then you can cook one by one. But if you want them to be totally soft all on the top and on the inside, then this is how you do it. So look out for this nice color, for the brown spots. And when they're there, you flip the chapati. Don't worry if it does that. You just don't panic, okay? Panic is one of the worst things you can do in the kitchen. So I'll check if that part is ready. When you see the brown spots starting to come up, you put some oil and let it cook a bit more, and then you flip it again. Okay, so all my 3 chapatis are almost ready, so I'm just waiting for the bottom one to cook, and then we'll get this batch out of the pan. Okay, so on the side I'm continuing to roll out the other chapatis so that I'll always have one to go on the pan. Okay, so if you're not used to using your hands, as I am doing, please feel free to use a spatula. This one should be ready. And my young man can't wait to eat chapati, so I'll give some to him. Have you washed your hands? Okay, wash your hands. So I'm going on with the cooking. So the important points to note here are that your heat needs to be at the right temperature, because if it's too high, it will take you too fast. If it's too low, it will take you too slow. If it's too high, again, it will burn the chapatis. So what we look out for are these spots. And when these spots are here, it's time to put some oil. Okay, and turn it round. Spin it. So as you spin it, always be careful of such bubbles that have some very, very hot vapor. So that's how we do it. So, as I had said earlier, with this type of pan, this is the best type of spoon spatula you can use, because it won't burn. Okay, Sometimes I forget whether I've already put oil the first time, so I have to put very little so that it doesn't become too oily. So another thing to note when using this method, you have to cook the chapati at the bottom well, not burn it, but cook it well, because if you do not, it sticks to the one just below it, okay? So you have to ensure it cooks well so that it won't stick. So you can use your spoon to turn it, plus your hand, or you can use the spoon, the spatula, whichever you please. I'm trying to use as little oil as possible. No one likes a very oily chapati. When it comes to brown chapati, we follow the same recipe, only that if you're doing only brown flour, um, you might have to cook the chapatis one by one because they easily break, or if the brown unga is more than the white one, you really might need to cook them one by one. Okay, so that's how it is, and the truth is that you get better as you do it more. So don't worry if yours don't come out with a good shape the first times. You just keep getting better as you practice. So now that it's translucent and it has those dots on it, I put some oil so that it will cook properly. So you keep checking if it's cooked to your satisfaction. Be careful of these parts that let out a lot of hot vapor that could hurt you. So I put this on top of the one at the bottom. Makes it easier for me to spin it. There. Note that I put my spoon this way and not this way, okay? Because this way will easily tear the chapatis, but if you do it this way, they won't tear. Of course, I spin the chapatis that way so that the oil can spread out evenly on the chapatis, or almost evenly. So for this recipe, even half a liter of oil will be enough. Actually, more than enough. Because the chapatis are really soft, I've had to practice using my hands because it makes it easier for me so that the chapatis don't tear. But using a spoon also, by turning the side and then putting it on the palm, also works. Or using a spatula carefully like that, then you lift it, also works. The level of browning is all up to you. If you like it this kind of brown, you can let it cook a bit longer. If you like it a bit light, as long as your chapatis are not so thick, it will have cooked well inside. If you also feel that it's not the brown you want, you can always flip it back onto the heat like that and let it brown a bit more. And this is the last batch of our chapatis, and we'll be ready to eat. And here are our soft, layered and yummy chapatis. You can see how they have nice brown spots. And they're very soft. So you can see how soft the chapati is. So guys, make sure you try out this recipe. I know you won't regret it. You just have to take care because you might become the chapati chef for all your relatives, okay? Thank you for staying with me up to this point. And sure you join me for the next video. Bye bye.